The storm clouds gathered like giant gray walls as Ernhale's small explorer ship fell through the sky. The alarms were screaming. Red lights flashed across the cockpit. Owen tried to pull the ship up, but it was too late. The storm was too strong. The wind hit the ship like a hammer, throwing it toward the frozen world below. "This is bad," Owen whispered, gripping the controls with shaking hands. Snowlands. A world no human had explored before. A world covered in endless ice. He had come here alone to scan for energy sources, but now he was falling straight into a death trap. The ship smashed into the snow with a loud crack. Ice exploded around it. The impact threw Aaron forward, and he hit the floor hard. For a moment, everything was silent. Only the cold wind outside howled like a monster waiting to enter. Owen pushed himself up. His ribs hurt. His head was spinning. But he was alive. He checked his systems. Everything was broken. The scanner, the engine, the wings. His ship was now just a metal coffin resting in the snow. He stepped outside, and the icy wind slapped his face. The air was sharp and painful. To breathe. The sky was a pale blue, and the ground stretched out in white waves as far as he could see. A dead world. Quiet. Empty. But then, he saw footprints. Not animal footprints. Something big. Something heavy. And the tracks were fresh. He felt his heart beat faster. He wasn't alone. Grabbed his small plasma tool cutter. Barely useful as a weapon. But right now, it was all he had. He followed the tracks slowly, carefully. The snow crunched under his boots. The silence felt too heavy, like the world was holding its breath. A shadow moved on the ridge above him, unfroze. The shape was tall, much taller than a human. Maybe two of him stacked together. The figure stood still, watching him. Snow blew across its body, hiding details, but Arn could see white hair, long and shining like frost. Its skin was pale blue, glowing slightly in the fading light. He stepped back. Another shape appeared. On the other side, two of them now. He felt the fear climb up his throat. He had no idea what they were. Aliens? Warriors? Hunters? The wind grew louder, and the storm returned. Snow swirled around the two figures, making them look like ghosts in the ice. Arn swallowed hard. He tried to speak, but his voice cracked from the cold. "Hello." No answer. Then third sound echoed across the valley. A deep growl. Arn turned quickly and saw a massive creature climbing out of the snow. It was shaped like a wolf, but 10 times bigger, with ice crystals growing along its back. Its eyes were bright blue and filled with hunger. It lunged at him. Arn fell backward, raising his plasma tool. It wasn't enough. The beast opened its enormous jaws. But then a streak of silver flashed through the air. The tall figures moved faster than Arn could see. One leaped in front of him, landing between him and the monster. The other appeared at its side, boots crushing the snow. The first warrior raised a long spear made of ice-like metal. With one clean strike, she stabbed the beast through its neck. The creature roared, falling to the ground and shaking the ice beneath them. Blue mist rose from its mouth as it died. Arn stared in shock. The warriors stood over the beast, breathing slow and steady. They looked almost human, but not human. Their armor shone with frost patterns. Their hair fell like silver waterfalls. Their eyes glowed with cold fire. The one holding the spear turned toward Owen. He froze again, unable to move. She walked closer, her boots leaving deep marks in the snow. Her sister followed, holding a curved blade shaped like frozen moonlight. They circled him slowly, studying him like scientists inspecting a strange creature. Arn raised his hands. "I'm not your enemy." They didn't speak. They only watched him with calm, sharp eyes. Finally, the spear warrior lowered her weapon. Just a little. She stepped close enough that Arn could feel the cold coming off her skin. She whispered a single word in her language. Aaron didn't understand it, but her tone was not angry. It sounded curious. The second warrior pointed toward the sky, where Aaron's broken ship sat smoking in the snow. She looked at him, then tapped her chest as if asking, "Who are you? Why are you here?" Aaron opened his mouth to answer, but the ground suddenly shook beneath them. A roar much louder than before echoed across the valley. The warriors turned sharply toward the sound, and Aaron realized the ice beast they killed was not alone. This was only the beginning. The ground continued to tremble under Aaron's boots. A strange roaring sound rolled across the snowy valley like thunder trapped inside the ice. Astra and Lyra, the frost warriors, stood protectively in front of him. Their eyes narrowed, their bodies tense, ready for battle. Aaron still catching. His breath held his plasma cutter tightly. It felt useless compared to their shining weapons, but it was the only thing he had. Another roar echoed, louder, closer. Lyra, the younger Frost sister, raised her curved blade, and thin mist curled around her feet. Astra lifted her ice metal spear, its tip glowing faintly blue. They both moved with calm strength, like warriors who had fought monsters their whole lives. Aaron whispered, "What is coming now?" Neither of the sisters answered. Their attention stayed fixed on the ridge. Then something massive burst through. The blowing snow. It was the same wolf-like creature, but different, taller, wider, and angrier. Ice spikes grew from its spine like frozen knives. Its breath fogged the air in thick clouds as it growled, shaking its huge head. The monster locked eyes on Eren. Astra stepped in front of him before he could react. She tapped her spear once on the ground. The snow cracked under the pressure. Lyra spoke first, her voice cold like the wind, her language sharp and musical. Owen couldn't understand the words, but he felt the meaning. "Do not touch him." The beast charged. The snow exploded under its paws as it hurled itself toward them. Astra dodged to the side with incredible speed. Her spear sliced across the beast's shoulder, sending shards of ice flying. Lyra leaped from the opposite side, her blade carving a clean arc through the air. The beast roared in pain but didn't slow down. It turned sharply, aiming straight at Eren again. He stumbled back. His heart hammered in his chest. A blast of ice shot from Astra's spear, slamming into the beast's side and knocking it sideways. The creature skidded across the snow, leaving a trail of frost behind it. Eren gasped. That wasn't normal metal. That wasn't normal strength. These women were not ordinary warriors, they were something much more. But the beast wasn't done. It rose again, eyes burning brighter now, and opened its jaws wide. A cloud of icy breath surged outward, freezing the snow in a long path toward the sisters. Lyra jumped in front of Astra and crossed her arms. A glowing barrier of frost formed around her like a shimmering shield. The icy breath hit it hard, cracking the shield but not breaking it. Eren stared in shock. Their powers weren't just physical. They controlled the cold itself. Before the monster could attack again, Astra sprinted forward. She ran so fast that Eren barely saw her feet touch the ground. Her spear glowed brighter and brighter until it looked like a piece of the sky itself. With a powerful strike, she drove the tip straight into the creature's chest. The beast let out a final broken roar. Ice spread across its body, freezing it solid in seconds. A moment later, it shattered into thousands of tiny crystal pieces that fell quietly onto the snow. Silence returned. The storm calmed. Even the wind seemed to pause. Astra stood over the broken fragments of the beast, breathing slowly. Lyra lowered her blade, eyes still scanning the area for more danger. Eren felt small, weak. These warriors had saved him twice now. But why? Lyra walked toward him first. Her white hair blew in the wind, and her pale blue skin glowed softly in the fading sunlight. She studied him with careful, curious eyes. Astra followed, her tall figure casting a long shadow across the snow. Arn slowly raised his hands again. "Thank you for saving me." The sisters exchanged a brief look. Astra pointed at his broken ship resting on the ridge. Then she pointed at him, then at the sky. Arn understood. She was asking where he came from. "I'm human," he said. "From another world. My ship crashed." Lyra tilted her head slightly. Her expression softened just a little, like she understood more than she let on. Astra stepped closer. She touched the metal of his plasma cutter carefully, as if examining strange technology. Then she pointed her spear's glowing tip at the frozen remains of the beast. She said one word in her language, slow, clear, serious. Didn't know the meaning, but the feeling behind it made his stomach twist. The sound carried weight. "Warning. Fear," he repeated softly. "What does that mean?" Astra didn't answer. Instead, she motioned for him to follow. Lyra walked ahead, leading the way across the snowy valley toward a distant mountain glowing with blue light. Arn hesitated. Should he trust them? He didn't have a choice. The cold would kill him alone. The monsters would eat him alive. He took a deep breath and started walking after them. Behind him, the shattered ice of the fallen beast began to melt into the snow. And a dark, pulsing symbol glowed faintly where its heart had been. Arn didn't see it, but Astra did. And her eyes filled with worry. Snow crunched under Aaron's boots as he followed Astra and Lyra toward the distant glowing mountain. The wind cut across the land like icy knives, but the Frost sisters walked with calm steps, as if they were born from the storm itself. Aaron kept glancing at them. Their movements were graceful, strong, and silent. They didn't talk much, but their eyes spoke a language of their own, focused, alert, always watching the shadows around them. He tried to break the silence. "So, where are we going?" Lyra looked over her shoulder, then pointed to the mountain ahead. "Crither," she said slowly, shaping the word so he could understand. Astra added a second word, tapping the glowing ice on her spear. "Home," nodded. "Your home." Astra's expression remained unreadable, but Lyra gave a small, almost invisible smile. They walked through narrow frozen canyons where blue ice walls rose higher than buildings. Strange symbols were carved into the ice-thin lines, star shapes, and runes that glowed faintly with frostlight. "What are those?" Arn asked. Lyra paused and placed her hand on one of the carvings. The ice hummed softly, as if responding. To her touch. Astra answered calmly, "History." Arn stepped closer. The symbols looked old, very old. Some even looked familiar. His mind struggled to understand why. He had never been here before, yet something about the carvings made his skin prickle. As they walked deeper into the canyon, the air became warmer. Not warm like a tropical place, but warmer than the deadly cold outside. Blue mist drifted across the ground like slow-moving fog. The canyon opened into a massive frozen plain. In the center stood a towering fortress carved from a single giant glacier. It shimmered with shifting blue and silver light, almost like it was alive. Arn stopped in awe. "That is incredible." Astra and Lyra walked proudly toward the entrance, where tall frost warriors guarded the icy gates. Their armor glowed with runic patterns, and their white hair flowed like snow in the wind. But when they saw Arn, their calm faces tightened. One of the guards stepped forward, spear raised. "Human," he said sharply, making the word sound like a threat. Arn froze. Lyra moved instantly, placing herself between Arn and the guard. She spoke in their language, quick, firm, protective. Astra added her voice too, deeper and more commanding. Guards exchanged looks. Some frowned. Others whispered. Eren understood only one thing: they didn't trust him. Maybe they feared him. Maybe they hated him. Finally, the gate opened with a deep rumbling sound. Inside, the fortress was glowing from within. The walls were lined with ice crystals that flickered like tiny stars. Frost warriors moved through the halls, some carrying weapons, others using magic to shape ice into tools. Everything felt ancient, powerful, sacred. Astra guided Arn into a chamber where giant carvings covered the walls. Lyra lit a frost lamp, making the images glow brighter. Arn stepped closer, and his heart skipped a beat. The carving showed humans, not frost people, not aliens, humans, wearing armor, carrying strange machines, walking beside frost warriors. Like equals, Lyra watched Arn carefully. Long ago, she said. Astra pointed at a carving showing a human touching a glowing crystal. The crystal's shape matched the symbol Arn had seen on his ship's scanner before the crash. He whispered, How do you know about humans? Astra took a slow breath and spoke the human word again, perfectly this time. Prophecy. Arn looked at her in disbelief. Prophecy? About humans? Lyra nodded. She pointed to a large carving in the center of the wall. It showed a human standing on cracked ice, surrounded by frost warriors. Above him, a dark shape loomed like a shadow with sharp edges and empty eyes. Under it, in glowing runes, was a line of text. Astra translated slowly, choosing each word with care. A human will come. He will bring the end, or the beginning. Owen felt his stomach twist. That doesn't sound very comforting. Lyra touched his arm gently, almost reassuring him. But Astra's eyes stayed serious. Before Arn could ask more, a loud horn blast echoed through the fortress. Astra and Lyra snapped to attention. Warriors rushed through the halls. The ground vibrated slightly, carrying a deep, growing rumble. Lyra pressed her ear against the icy wall and whispered, Not storm. Not beast. Astra finished her thought. Enemy. Arn stepped back. What enemy? A frost warrior ran up to Astra, speaking urgently in their language. Astra's expression hardened. She turned to Arn. Her spear hummed with blue energy. Winterborn. She said. The word felt heavy, dangerous, unblinked. What are Winterborn? Neither sister answered. They only grabbed their weapons and rushed toward the gates, leaving Arn standing in the glowing chamber. But as he turned to follow, something on the wall caught his eye, a small carving hidden behind frost. He wiped the ice away. His breath stopped. It was a symbol from his ship. The same exact symbol burned onto the heart of the monster they killed, his crash, the beasts. The prophecy. They were all connected. And the Winterborn were getting closer. The horn blast echoed again, louder this time, shaking the walls of the glacier fortress. Aaron's heart pounded as he hurried after Astra and Lyra. The long icy hallways glowed with blue light as warriors rushed past him, forming defensive lines near the entrance gates. Snow blew in through the opening as the great doors were pushed aside. Outside, the storm had returned, thick, angry, and loud. But it wasn't the storm the warriors feared. Shapes moved in the blizzard, dark shapes. Astra stood at the front, spear glowing with cold fire. Lyra was beside her, blade ready. Their faces were calm, almost expressionless, but their eyes held sharp focus. They were prepared for war. Arn stepped closer. What are Winterborn? Astra didn't look at him. Her voice was firm. Frost warriors, changed, Lyra added softly, broken. Arn stared at them. Changed how? Before they could answer, a roar thundered through the valley, different from the beasts earlier. This roar sounded like a cry of pain and hunger mixed together. Something emerged from the storm. It walked on two legs like a warrior, but its body was twisted. Its skin was the color of dark ice. Its eyes glowed a sickly blue, not natural, not alive. Its fingers were long claws, and frozen crystals grew out of its spine like jagged branches. Arn whispered, What is that? Astra tightened her grip. Winterborn. The creature screamed and charged at full speed. Astra leaped forward, meeting it with her spear. Ice shattered as their weapons collided. Lyra dashed to the side and struck its leg, but the creature barely reacted. It swung wildly, claws tearing through the air. More dark figures moved through the storm behind it. 5, 10, 20, each one twisted in a different horrible way. Arn stepped back in fear. "How do we stop them?" Astra answered sharply. "We do not stop. We survive." The battle began. Frost warriors rushed forward, unleashing waves of ice magic. Snow exploded into bright blue mist as spears and blades clashed with corrupted claws. The fortress grounds became a battlefield of light and shadow. Lyra ducked under a winterborn strike and cut cleanly across its back. It fell, but another replaced it instantly. Astra fought two at once, moving like a storm herself, spinning, striking, freezing her enemies with bursts of power. Arn knew he shouldn't join. He wasn't trained. He didn't have their strength or magic. But something inside him refused to stand still. He activated his plasma cutter, the small blade glowing bright orange in the icy blue world. A winterborn lunged toward him, jaws wide. Arn jumped aside and slashed its arm. The cut sizzled, melting through dark ice flesh. The creature shrieked, stumbling, giving Astra the perfect opening to finish it. She looked at him, just for a second, with a hint of surprise, maybe even respect. But the battle wasn't going well. More winterborn poured from the storm. Some climbed the glacier walls. Others attacked the gates directly. The ground trembled with their steps. Arn shouted over the noise. "Where are they coming from?" Lyra parried a claw strike and kicked the monster back. "Deep ice caves," she said between breaths. "Old world." Astra added, "Corruption wakes them." "Corruption?" Arn repeated. "What kind of corruption?" Astra hesitated, then answered, "Power not ours. Power that sleeps in the glacier heart." Arose, his ship scanner. The strange energy reading. It was under the ice. Before he could think more, a massive winterborn twice the size of the others roared and charged straight at the gates. Its arms were covered with thick, icy armor. Its chest glowed with the same symbol Arn had seen burned into the beast earlier. The warriors braced themselves, but the creature slammed into them, sending several flying across the snow. Arn shouted, "Astra, Lyra!" Astra lunged at the monster, but it caught her by the arm and threw her against the wall. She hit the ice hard and fell to her knees, spear dropping from her hand. Lyra screamed her sister's name and ran to her, but another winterborn blocked her path. Arn didn't think. He ran. He grabbed Astra's fallen spear. It felt cold painfully. Cold, but he held on. The large winterborn locked eyes with him. Its jaws opened, glowing blue. Arn drove the spear forward. The weapon reacted instantly. Blue light burst from it, blasting the creature backward in a shockwave that cracked the ice beneath them. The monster hit the ground hard, stunned. Eren gasped. He had felt something like the spear recognized him. Astra stared at him in disbelief as she stood slowly. "You," she whispered. Lyra joined her, her expression confused and worried. "It answered you." But they didn't have time to process it. The winterborn suddenly stopped attacking. Every corrupted creature froze in place, turning their heads toward the distant mountains. Then all together, they screamed. A deep, shaking, unnatural cry. The frost warriors stopped. Astra's face turned pale. Lyra stepped back in fear. Arn felt cold crawl up his spine. "What does that mean?" he asked softly. Astra spoke in a whisper. "It means their master is awake." The screaming of the winterborn faded into the snowy distance, leaving a heavy silence over the battlefield. Frost warriors stood still, weapons ready, waiting for another attack. But none came. The corrupted creatures had vanished into the storm as suddenly as they appeared. Astra exhaled slowly, steadying herself. Lyra rushed to her side and touched her arm. Astra nodded, showing she was fine. but her eyes stayed sharp with fear. Aran held the frost spear tightly, its blue glow slowly fading from his hands. He still felt the strange energy inside it, like the weapon had breathed for a moment when he used it. Astra walked toward him. Her tall figure cast a long shadow across the ice. She studied the spear, then his hands, then his face. "You should not touch our weapons," she said, but her voice held more confusion than anger. Arn swallowed. "It helped me. It reacted when I used it." Lyra stepped closer, curiosity bright in her eyes. "It answered you," she repeated softly. "Only frostborn blood can do that." Arn frowned. "I'm not frostborn." The sisters exchanged a worried glance. Before any of them could say more, the Frost King's voice boomed through the yard. "Inside, now." Warriors parted as a tall, icy figure approached. The Frost King's armor was carved from crystal ice, glowing with runes. His eyes were pale blue, ancient and cold. He stared at Arn with a gaze that felt like a blade on skin. Astra and Lyra bowed deeply. Arn followed their lead. The king spoke slowly. "Human, you bring danger to our land." Arn lifted his head. "I didn't come to cause harm. My ship crashed." "Your ship awakened the Winterborn," the king interrupted. Arn shook his head. "No, something else is waking them." The king's expression didn't change. "Humans once brought ruin here. Their machines poisoned the ice. Their power broke our world. History repeats." Owen felt a mix of fear and frustration. "But I'm not them." Lyra stepped forward boldly. "Father, he fought with us. He saved Astra." Astra added, her voice steady. "He touched the spear." The spear answered. Whispers rose among the watching warriors. The king's eyes narrowed. Impossible. But Astra and Lyra stood firm. Ern took a breath. "Let me help. I want to understand what's happening here." The king stared at him for a long, heavy moment. Then he turned away. "No, you leave at dawn." Astra looked shocked. Lyra gasped softly. Eren blinked. "Leave? Where? I have no ship, no supplies." The king didn't look back. "Then you will die far from my people." He walked away, leaving cold silence behind. That night, Astra and Lyra led Eren to a small chamber carved into the glacier. A soft blue lamp lit the room. The walls glowed faintly with frost patterns. Lyra paced angrily. "He does not see the truth." Astra sat against the wall, rubbing her injured arm. "He sees danger everywhere. It is his duty." An sat quietly. "Why does he hate humans so much?" Astra looked at him. Her voice was softer now. "Long ago, humans fought beside us. But they also brought machines they did not understand. When the ice cracked and darkness came, humans fled. We were left alone to fight it." Lyra added, "Winterborn came from that darkness. From a broken power buried in the glacier heart." Arn stared at the floor. "My scanner detected something deep under the ice. A huge energy source." Astra's eyes widened. "The same? Your world and ours connected?" Arn nodded slowly. "I think my ship's crash woke something that was already unstable." Lyra sat beside him. "Then you must stay. You cannot be sent out to die." Astra stood determined. "The king will not listen, but we will." Arn looked up at them. "You're risking a lot." Astra placed her hand on the spear he had used earlier. "You saved us. Now we save you." Lyra smiled faintly. "We make alliance." Arn felt warmth in his chest despite the icy air. "Alliance?" But the moment didn't last. The ground vibrated again. A deep rumble rolled through the glacier walls. Blue dust fell from the ceiling. The frost lamp flickered. Astra's eyes widened. "Not attack." Lyra whispered, "Something beneath." Arn felt the vibration grow stronger, almost like a heartbeat under the ground. Astra grabbed her spear. "We must tell the king." Before they could move, a loud voice echoed from the hallway. Do not go anywhere." 3 frost guards stepped inside. Blocking the exit, the leader pointed at Anne. "By order of the Frost King, the human is to be locked away until dawn." Lyra stepped forward angrily. "He is our ally." The guard raised his weapon. "He is a threat." Astra's spear glowed, but she didn't lift it. "Not yet." Ern took a deep breath. "I don't want to fight your people." The guard ignored him. "Human, come." The rumbling in the ground grew louder, deeper, more dangerous. Arn looked at Astra and Lyra. Their eyes told him everything. The Frost King was hiding something, and the truth was buried in the glacier awake. Angry and coming for all of them, the guards marched Urin down a narrow ice corridor, their footsteps echoing like distant thunder. Astra and Lyra followed behind, their faces tight with anger and worry. The cold air seemed heavier than before, almost alive, as if the glacier itself was listening. Arn felt the rumbling under the floor again, deep, slow, dangerous. He spoke quietly to Astra. "Does this happen often?" Astra shook her head once. "No, the glacier does not move like this." Lyra whispered, "Something old is waking." The guards stopped at a small locked chamber. One guard pushed Arn inside. Lyra stepped forward. "You cannot lock him." A spear blocked her path. "King's orders," the guard said sternly. The door slammed shut. The last thing Arn saw was Lyra's frightened eyes and Astra's clenched fists. The chamber was dim, lit only by a pale crystal hanging from the ceiling. Arn sat on the icy bench, his breath forming small clouds. Everything felt wrong. The winterborn attack, the strange symbol, the Frost King's fear, none of it fit together. Then the floor rumbled again, stronger this time. A small crack formed. On the wall, blue dust fell. Arn stood quickly. "This place is not safe." Before he could finish, the door opened again silently. Astra stepped inside, spear in hand. Lyra followed, carrying a glowing frost lamp. Arn blinked. "You broke in?" Lyra smirked. "The guards are asleep." Astra corrected her. "We put them asleep." She lifted her hand to reveal frost magic still glowing on her fingertips. Arn sighed with relief. "What now?" Astra looked into his eyes. "We show you truth, hidden truth." Lyra nodded strongly. "The king hides things we must see." They led Iran through an old, dark hallway. Unlike the glowing blue corridors of the main fortress, this place was cold and silent. No lamps, no carvings, no runes. It felt abandoned. Astra stopped at a heavy ice door covered in thick chains. She placed her palm on a small rune near the lock. The rune glowed softly, then the chains broke apart with a sharp crack. The door opened slowly, revealing a deep chamber filled with frost mist. Inside were ancient structures, metal beams, rusted panels, broken screens. The ice had grown around them like a cage. Aaron's breath caught. This was not frostborn technology. This was human technology. He walked closer and touched a metal plate. This is from Earth tech, old Earth tech." Astra watched him closely. "It fell from sky long before we were born." Lyra touched a cracked screen. "Our ancestors called it sky wound." Arn felt a strange chill, not from the cold, but from the truth forming in his mind. He brushed away frost from a large metal surface. Under it he saw faded letters. UN exploration vessel. Therian. Aaron stepped back slowly. The Therian. It disappeared over 400 years ago. Astra and Lyra exchanged worried looks. Aaron whispered, "My people came here before. And nobody ever knew." Astra pointed at a large broken sphere in the center of the chamber. The sphere pulsed faintly, giving off tiny blue sparks. "That is heart of the sky wound," she said. "Energy core." Arn knelt beside it. The symbol engraved on the sphere was the same symbol he saw on the Winterborn and in the carvings. This is power from Earth, but altered, corrupted. The sphere pulsed again, and the room trembled. Lyra stepped closer. This energy, it makes Winterborn. Astra added, when our ancestors touched it, they changed. Shadows entered them. Then their bodies turned to ice and darkness. Unstood slowly. So the Winterborn are infected by this human. Reactor? Astra nodded. Yes, and now it wakes again. Un felt guilt crawl up his spine. My crash must have triggered the signal. Maybe the core sensed human DNA. Lyra touched his arm gently. It is not your fault. Astra looked at the sphere with fear in her eyes, a rare expression for her. The king hid this because the truth is dangerous. If our people learn humans made Winterborn, they will destroy you. Un closed his eyes. Humanity had caused this. And now he was stuck in the middle of a prophecy that he didn't understand. A loud boom echoed through the chamber. Astra spun around. Guards! Voices shouted from the hallway, getting closer. Astra grabbed Iran's wrist. We must leave. But as they turned, the sphere pulsed again stronger than before. The ice cracked. A wave of cold air burst outward, throwing them off balance. From deep within the reactor's core, a faint, distorted voice echoed. A human voice. To anyone. Alive, containment breach. Code. Un felt his blood run cold. The reactor wasn't just waking. It was calling. Lyra grabbed Iran's coat. Or what is it saying? Un looked at the glowing sphere with horror. It's a distress signal. From centuries ago. Astra's eyes widened. It still speaks? Arn whispered. It's been trying to warn someone. For 400 years. The guards' shouts grew. Louder. Astra lifted her spear. We run, now. But before they could, the sphere cracked open. A giant wave of blue energy exploded outward, shattering the ice chamber and plunging everything into blinding white light. Arn felt weightless, as if he were falling through the sky again. His ears filled with a loud ringing sound, and the cold burned his skin. When the light faded, he found himself lying on the icy floor, breathing hard. Astra and Lyra were beside him, both shaken but alive. The chamber was destroyed. Ice shards covered the ground like broken glass. The ancient human reactor now floated, several feet above the floor, glowing dangerously bright. Blue lightning danced around it. The guards who had been chasing them were unconscious on the ground. Lyra helped Arn stand. Are you okay? He nodded weakly. I think so. Astra stared at the reactor, her expression hard. This power, it grows. It will break the glacier. Arn stepped forward, feeling the energy pull at him like a magnet. It recognized me. The signal was meant for humans, and it reacted to my DNA. Lyra grabbed his arm. Then you cannot go near it, but Arn shook his head. No, I think I'm the only one who can shut it down. Astra clenched her jaw. If you touch it, you may die. Arn looked at her. For the first time, he saw fear in her eyes, not fear of the reactor, but fear for him. Before he could answer, a deep roar echoed through the tunnels. Winterborn. Dozens of them swarmed into the broken chamber, their glowing eyes fixed on the reactor. They moved like a single mind, as if they were being pulled toward the energy source. Lyra raised her blade. They want the core. Astra stepped forward, spear glowing blue. We hold them back. A Winterborn lunged. Astra met it with a burst of cold lightning, freezing it mid-air. Lyra swept behind another and struck it down with a single clean arc, but more came. More than they could fight. Arn looked at the reactor. If I don't stop it now, they'll consume its energy. They'll become unstoppable. Astra shouted. No. But he was already running. He leaped over fallen ice, dodged Winterborn claws, and slid across the frozen floor until he reached the floating core. The pull of its energy grew stronger, like a giant heartbeat under the skin. Astra tried to reach him, but Winterborn blocked her path. Lyra screamed. "Un!" He placed his hands on the reactor. The world exploded with light again, but this time, Arn didn't fall. He saw visions, flashes from centuries ago. The human ship Therian crashing into the glacier. The crew shouting in panic. The reactor failing. A warning message repeating over and over, searching for anyone with human DNA. Containment breach. Evacuate. Stabilize core immediately. Gasped as he heard those ancient voices, fear, hope, desperation. Then a final whisper echoed. Only a living human can shut it down. The vision faded. Found himself glowing with the same blue light as the reactor. Energy flowed through his veins like fire and ice at the same time. He understood. He could shut it down. But he wouldn't survive. Behind him, Astra broke through a group of Winterborn and reached out toward him. "Arn, stop!" He looked back at her. Lyra was fighting behind her, tears in her eyes. Arn smiled sadly. "You saved me when you didn't. Have to. You trusted me. Let me save your world." Astra shook her head violently. "Not like this. We find another way." He whispered. "There isn't one." The reactor pulsed violently. The chamber began to collapse around them. Huge cracks spread across the floor and walls. Arn closed his eyes and pushed his hands deeper into the core. Astra screamed, "E-R-E-N." The sea lime AX energy burst outward, blasting Winterborn away like leaves in the wind. The reactor cracked, glowing white. The entire glacier shook as if the world itself was cracking open. Lyra fell to her knees, covering her ears. The light was too bright. Astra pushed forward, refusing to step back. Even as the energy burned her armor, through the blinding light, she saw Aaron's figure standing strong, his body glowing like a star. He whispered one last word. "Goodbye." A blinding flash filled the chamber. Then silence. After the light giet. When the light faded, the energy core was gone. The Winterborn lay motionless on the ground, their bodies turning back into normal Frostborn and then into peaceful snow. The corruption was gone. The darkness was dead. Astra staggered forward, eyes wide and heart broken. Arn was lying on the ground, pale and still. Lyra reached him first, tears falling onto the ice. "No, please." "Number." Astra knelt beside him, touching his hand gently. It was cold. But then a faint blue glow flickered across his skin. Lyra gasped. "Astra, look! Look!" The glow spread slowly, warming his body, healing his wounds. The energy he absorbed wasn't killing him. It was changing him. Opened his eyes weakly. They glowed pale blue like Frostborn eyes. Astra smiled, tears falling for the first time in years. You live," Lyra laughed with joy. "He is part of Snowlands now." Took a shaky breath. "Guess I'm not leaving anytime soon." Astra helped him stand. "Then stay with us, as warrior, as ally, as brother of ice." Nodded. Human no longer, corrupted no longer. He had become something new.